Hello everyone, welcome back to the Out of the Park Developments YouTube channel. My name is Alex Murray with another tutorial for all of you guys out there. We're getting close to the end of our intro tutorial playlist or classes at this point. We will again be going through most of these with another whole entire longer, more deep diving tutorial series down the road. But for now, we are wrapping up the end of our intros guides to OOTP. Today, we are going to be talking about budgeting and finances and what that means for you as an OOTP 22 GM. So if you've got your games open, let's go ahead and get on over and let's get started. All right, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to start right on our front office finances page. And you can see I've got that all set up. We're back in our Atlanta Braves team. We won 99 games in the 2021 season. We unfortunately didn't make the World Series, but you can see a very successful season financially and on the field. On and off the field, it was a good year for the Atlanta Braves. Now, the very first thing you're going to want to know is what this finances page has. And basically all of these boxes over here on the middle to right side of the screen, these are all customizable. You can always change these to match whatever you would like. All right, so those are customizable. You're not going to be stuck with whatever you see on the screen right here, but these are basic information boxes that help you be able to get the information you need about your team without having to go deep diving into the accounting or the salaries or any of the other pages that are here. So as you can see, we'll talk a little bit about all of these, kind of what they mean, and then we'll talk in more depth about some of the other tabs such as the accounting and the salaries, as well as scouting and player development for the budgets and how to set those. Now, starting right off the bat, this financial summary page here on the left is a great place to get started. This tells you how much your budget is, how much your player payroll is currently at, and how much money is left for the current season, which is your money for free agents. So if you had to acquire somebody new, this is the money you'd have. And then your money for extensions is based off of how much money you have available for next year. So if you wanted to extend somebody, you would get some money chunked out of this line right here. So as you can see, we have $11 million to spend after we already acquired Freddie Freeman again. We brought him back to the squad. We acquired a couple of free agents. We could go out and make another move for a player up to about $11 million. Or if we wanted to extend somebody, we could go upwards of about $40 million on an extension if we wanted to do such a thing as that. We'll talk a little bit more about the extensions and money for years to come in the salaries page. All right, so we'll get to that in a second. Now, down below here is going to be your ticket price and ticket information. Now, if you're in the off season, or I believe it's a certain period of time, you can change, as we talked about that in our off-season events, you can change this ticket price and you can adjust it to whatever you'd like. You can see we've already come in and adjusted it, our ticket price from $38.25 to $42 flat. And that's almost a 10% change in our ticket prices, but we already are projected to have another about 1,000 season ticket holders, and then we were selling out most of our home ball games. So it was a very successful $1.5 million earned just from revenue per game, and we'll talk a little bit more about how much we actually earned. I think I can see incomes. If they're not here, they'll be on a different page, but you can see our attendance history on the bottom one down here was a little over 3 million, and that just goes to show you how well we did over the course of the regular season for certain things. So, again, that's your attendance chart down here. You can see how many tickets you're selling per your home game. This can be a pivotal way to earn money very quickly. If your team is getting a whole bunch of people coming to the ball games, that's going to help you out a ton with being able to make sure that you're actually able to pay for everything that's coming in to your squad. And we'll talk about that when we get to accounting, because that's going to be something over there. So the default boxes that are here are going to be budget information, which is basically talking about total expenses to date for the current year. Remaining expenses, this is probably mostly going to be players' salaries, offered contracts, and allocated budget space. So right now we have $17 million in allocated budget space. That's going to probably be, our scouting budget, our development budget, our draft budget, which is going to be our projected amount of draft money that we've set aside just for the draft, and we'll talk about that in a second too. And then also the international amateur free agent budget, which is up to $5 million, and we have nothing on that right now. But it's saying that we're projected to have this number right here. So we'll see how that goes down the road. But for right now, we have $17 million scheduled in those areas. which means our total expenses are 198 million, almost 199. And of course, our budget is 200 million with a projected budget room of about $1.5 million almost, of about $10 million in cash, which results in our 11,314,218 number. So that's how much money we have to spend right now. Now, you can make it so that way cash is unlimited, but then teams like the Yankees could have like 100 million in that cash area or more. So you can get in trouble if you change some league settings and make cash unlimited. Some people like to put a marker or a limit on it, a cap basically. Otherwise, you can kind of spend that in whatever you'd want to. If you wanted to put a whole bunch into your player development or your budgets, you could do that without any problem. The extension information is basically talking about guaranteed payrolls for the year. That's how many players are guaranteed money regardless of how they fare. Arbitration estimates are how many people, and again, this is all for basically next year. So our next year's total expenses are going to be potentially 181 million, and we'll see about that when we get to salaries. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So you can see some quick overviews with some of these pages, and that's how we get our 40 million, because that's our projected budget for next year against our projected expenses of next year. And again, we'll talk about that in a second here when we get to salaries. Expenses are basically a quick little overview of everything you're paying for, from player and staff payrolls to all the budgets you have. Currently, we are expected to have a current expenditure of about 198 million, and that can change as we update our budgets as well as our player spending and staff spending. Revenue is going to be all about the stuff we get for income, basically. Our season ticket revenue, our gate revenue. We do lose some for our gate share loss. That's how the MLB helps lower quality teams that don't have either the fan bases or the fan interest. Helps them be able to get some money from teams that they go and visit. You can change that in the league settings as well. I would not recommend it, but you can. So that we do have our gate share gained as well. So when we go and visit somebody else, we get part of their gate share. And then, of course, playoff revenue, which because we had a couple playoff games, we got about $15 million, almost $16 million just from that. And then, of course, you have your local media, national media, and the amount of money that they put to be able to cover your team, plus the merchandise, which is basically jerseys, bats, hats, gloves, and all the stuff you have at the stadium. And that's unfortunately not something you can control. That's based off of your fan loyalty and fan market size, basically. There are some really cool graphs that show you, if you wanted to look at past seasons and how well you've done, you can see not only your team record, but also your budget history. So for 2021, we had 180 million. Now we have 200, and we're projected to have 222 next year. And I'll talk about that in accounting. For revenue and expense history, this tells you how much you've earned, how much you're expending. So last year, we gained about $256 million, almost 257, and we only had expenditures up to about 175. So we definitely made a lot of money as a organization. Our attendance history, of course, you can see that too. Some of these will have all the information, some will have none, and of course, 2020 season is going to be blank. Regretfully. Player expense history, we don't have data of from the past seasons. You can only get that for the season you start and move forward from. So we only have the 141 million that our team had for player expenses in 2021, and we will see what we get for 2022. So let's quickly run over the accounting and salaries page. This is going to be more in-depth information. The accounting page is basically going to show you what your current season is. So we have our budget of 2022 and then our year-to-date of 2022. Once we get to January, we will have a projection tab as well. This will expand, and it'll give us like what we expect to have for the upcoming season. Because as you can see, we've got plenty of money if you're talking about season profit and loss right now. Then you can see for last season, it was a $180 million budget. Previous balance was $83 million. Of course, our owner takes most of that because we were only supposed to have $10,000 or so in, $10 million or so in cash. Our season ticket revenue was $50 million. That is very, very good. And our gate revenue total, which includes our season ticket revenue, I believe, is 72. So that was a very good season for us ticket-wise. That was very, very good. And that can be a huge, huge bonus to your team to get this extra money. If we go to a team that doesn't have very good fan support, say the Baltimore Orioles, they got $17 million in gate revenue last year. So we are way head and shoulders better than most of these ball clubs when it comes to getting ticket revenue, because $72 million is huge. So that's the one problem about doing like rebuilds is that no one will come and watch your rebuilds unless you're winning ball games, okay? If you don't win ball games, you don't get gate revenue. And if you don't get gate revenue, you never get the extra spending cash to be able to go and acquire players that you otherwise would never be able to get. So, double-edged sword doing rebuilds is that it takes a long time, and you don't see the financial repercussions because of that for years to come, because the fan base has to be rebuilt from scratch. All right? As you can see, we did get our $15 million from the playoff revenue. Again, our media stuff is right here, merchandising, and these will all, once we get our projection tab, you can actually see the additional information that'll come in through there. I think we have to wait all the way till preseason to get that, though, so we won't have that here on this example, but you will get our projected 2022 one, and it will show all of what the AI believes you will be expected to earn and collect over the course of the regular season. I don't think it will do stuff like playoff revenue, because that's if you make the playoffs and the game just doesn't know if you're going to or not. As you can see, our player expenses only went up $1 million, and we're expected to go down to 130 next year. We do have some loss of staff expenses. We are expecting to go get some more staff here pretty soon, so that number will come back up. But otherwise, you can see our scouting is, I believe, set for less than 15 million, so that's actually going to go down. But you can see our player development budget is here, draft expenses budget is here, scouting expenses is our budget, and then the international amateur free agent is also set here as well. If you release a player while they are still on your squad and are earning a MLB contract, this is where you will have miscellaneous player expenses. That's where they'll show up. So if you release somebody with money still on their contract, you will have to pay that off. And it will show up here in the miscellaneous expenses. And as you can see, we had about $1 million of players that we just basically cut, and we still paid them that money. So that can be a bit of a problem, but, you know, easier to cut somebody than have to keep paying them, especially if it takes up a 40-man roster spot. You just don't want to have that happen. And of course, as you can see, there are some things we have to pay for, so miscellaneous others, we still have to do that as well. And I think that was because we had somebody who earned about $1 million for 2 years, and we're still paying them off. So we'll check salaries in a second here and see what that was all about. But otherwise, you can see, the one thing I wanted to mention was your budget. You can actually track what your budget's going to look like. So you can see next year, $222 million, and by 2024, we're expected to have almost $250 million of a budget, $248 million. So if we wanted to build a Braves franchise, now's the time to do it, because our owner is going to keep giving us more money, about $20 million a year. So this would be a good time, and you can use this information to know when to best try to go for that franchise or dynasty approach. Let's talk about salaries really fast, and I want to see if I can find that one person that we were holding on to that we had to keep retained. I'm not seeing it, unfortunately. I don't think they'll show up if they just released, actually. Yeah, if you release somebody, you're not going to see their contract here. That just ends up becoming a miscellaneous fee. If we retain somebody in a trade, some of their contract, you would see that here instead. But we actually didn't do that for anybody during the course of the regular season. But you can track and see how much money people are going to be earning every single season. So you can see we have, of course, our amounts down here at the bottom. So $144 million is our projected player spending for this year. Swanson and Eovaldi are both going to be free agents after the season, and we'll drop down to $130 million or so. That's if we want to keep Will Smith on with his team option, $13 million. And that also is dependent upon arbitration. As you can see, there are a couple different people with some decent numbers for arbitration. Those could change as they either have a bad year or a good year. That number could fluctuate. So don't just take this 130 as, you know, gospel or as the complete answer. That will change over the course of the regular season. Really quickly, before we end this video, let's talk about budgets. We talked about how to do that and what they look like. Let's talk about how to set them. To set your budgets, you can go here into finances and literally change these two numbers. I highly recommend going into scouting first, because scouting, your budget is right here, and you can change that. And $15 million for us is pretty good. The minimum for the league is $8 million. The maximum is $24. So you can't just throw $100 million into here. You shouldn't be able to. There should be a maximum, and there should be a minimum, all right? But if you have $24 million to spend on scouting, do it. That will give you such an advantage over everyone else in the league. It'll let you see all of the, you know, international prospects, the first-year player draft prospects, so much faster and so much more accurately than everybody else. And it will give you a leg up that you will want in your organization and in your league. For player development, this is where you'll get the other 3 budgets. That's your player development budget, and you will have to hit enter after each one to set them, otherwise they will not keep, all right? The draft budget, of course, right below it, you can see your recommended draft slot amount. That's going to be depending upon what the AI believes your drafting slots are going to cost you. So it actually projects what the players you're going to draft in the next draft are going to be demanding for signing bonuses. If you have a bunch of early... so, for example, if we hadn't signed Freddie Freeman back and we got Darno and Freeman's first-round compensations, that number might have been a little bit higher. It might have been around $6 million because, of course, we got like the 4th worst draft pick in the first round, I believe. So our first-round draft pick is probably not going to be asking for very much. Let me see if I can actually see what it looks like. Yeah, we're looking at a projected amount of about $2.4 million for our 32nd overall pick in the next year's draft. And then, of course, we also have compensation, which is expected to be about $2 million as well, and then about $1 million for the last important pick before you get closer and closer to, like, basically just offer them the slot amount and they're good to go. So maybe looking at those numbers, maybe you plot for more like, yeah, like, in fact, it just changed. Weird. Anywho, yeah, $6 to $7 million is about right for your draft budget. We've plopped in about 12. That's probably too much, but we're kind of hoping that somebody gets, not picked and it falls down to our 32nd overall pick in the first round. We might get somebody who was supposed to be maybe in the top 20. That would be our goal for the next season's draft, is to find somebody who was not appreciated, not valued very highly, and is demanding a lot of money, and we take a high roller chance on them instead. So you can always play with your draft budget to try to better utilize your amount of money you have available. If you don't have a lot of money or rebuilding, then you might want to try to shoot for prospects that are going to be demanding less money, and then have your draft budget be a lot lower, and then put more money into your player development budget. My recommendation for player development budget amounts is anywhere between $12 million to 30. Don't go over 30. It's not going to give you any difference. The bigger difference is from 12 to 30. Once you go over 30, it's minimal improvements. It's not going to give you much. But if you go from 12 to 30, you will notice a better shot and chance at player development. I think we talked about that in our player development video. So that should be all we need to talk about for that. Tune in next time, guys. We will talk about the personnel, our last intro tutorial for this beginner's playlist of stuff for OOTP. Excuse me. For OOTP 22. My apologies. Got popcorn in my throat. Anywho, we'll talk about personnel and staff roles in our next video, and I will see you all for the last video of this tutorial playlist. I'll see you all then.